joining us. John Whitbeck, former chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia. John is now a candidate. We've got him as the favorite to pull an upset, right? How do you be a favorite to do an upset at the same time running for chairman of the supervisors of Loudon County? Hey, John, great to have you with us, man.
Hey, good morning, John. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning.
So, John, this race, I love what you're doing. Kara says, why are you calling him John? Because it's John Whitbeck, Kara. That's why I'm calling him. Excuse me. Kara, who do you think is on the phone?
No, I know what it is.
She just texted me.
I know what it is. She wants you to start calling him Chairman Whitbeck because he's going to win the race. That's what that's about.
That is good, Martha.
That's what that's about.
Martha ate her Wheaties today.
That's what that's about.
Martha's saving the entire show, John.
Exactly why.
Very good. Let me give you a high five on that.
She wants you to get used to saying it.
Chairman Whitbeck?
Chairman Whitbeck. We have Chairman Whitbeck on the show this morning.
Chairman Whitbeck.
And you know one of the reasons why I love John Whitbeck? Because
one of the many reasons
is because he's going to make sure that little boys and girls, when they have their lemonade stand, don't have to have a permit for having a lemonade stand in Loudon County. Isn't that right?
Amen.
Mr. Chairman.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. My kids did one a few weeks ago, and can you imagine if they had to get a permit? What an insane world we'd be living in.
Well, I mean, there are places across the country where that's the case. I mean,
I know.
Little kids are being told, shut down your lemonade stand because you didn't get a permit for that. Really? I mean, that's about as Americana as apple pie, a lemonade stand.
So, John, after Bonetta just bailed my tail out here, should I just turn the show over to her or what? What do you think, John?
Those are my favorite days when she guest hosts. I listen to you when I'm working out in the gym, and always excited to hear Martha taking over.
That's right.
I know. See, so basically what he's saying is he tolerates me and waits for you.
That's right.
John, let's get to the biggest thing going on in Loudon County right now with these tolls on I-66. Your opponent, Chairwoman Phylis Randall? She was the only supporter of the Greenway toll increases until 2056. In an 8-1 vote, she voted for these crazy tolls. What's your position on these tolls, John Whitbeck?
Well, you know what, John? I've been fighting for my clients as an attorney for almost 20 years. And now, for the next 4 years, the people of Loudon County are going to be my clients. And we are going to fight these punishing tolls. The Greenway imposes tolls on people at a level of over $7, depending upon how far you go. And it's at least $6 to get on the Greenway during peak times. And it's really something that it has a traffic congestion relief supporter like I am. It's really something that we have to fight. We don't have a major transportation artery through the center of Loudon County, which means that all of our surrounding infrastructure is more clogged than it needs to be because nobody wants to drive on the Greenway because of these tolls. Well, what you were just talking about, John, is a vote that happened January 2nd, 2019. One of our supervisors made a motion that would have rejected a deal that was put forward by the Greenway that would have guaranteed higher tolls until 2056 and taken it out of the hands of the State Corporation Commission. There is a 6-3 Republican majority on the Board of Supervisors in Loudon County. So it's a bipartisan board. Mm-hmm. There was an 8-1 vote to reject the deal that would have guaranteed higher tolls until 2056. The only supervisor, Republican or Democrat, to support this deal and support the Greenway was Phylis Randall.
No way.
The only one.
What was her reasoning?
Well, she the other day in the debate we were having couldn't really come up with an answer because this has been the absolute issue of the campaign. I mean, there is just no escaping the fact that she supported the corporate Greenway over the commuters of Loudon County. She started to talk about how, well, I wanted distance-based pricing and I wanted lower tolls, so I supported this deal. The problem was it was a sham.
Right.
The Greenway said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask you to extend the sweetheart deal we've had to regulate ourselves rather than have the State Corporation Commission regulate us. We're going to extend that deal. In exchange, we're going to give you distance-based pricing, which we've all been fighting for. Because right now on the Greenway, if you go from point A to point B, it's the same price as if you go from point A to point Z on the road. In other words, whether you drive on it for 1 mile or 8 miles, it's the same price. There's no distance-based pricing.
Well, we need to read.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, the Greenway said, okay, we want you to let us self-regulate like we've always been doing. It's been a great deal for us for 10 years. We want that deal extended till 2056. We'll give you distance-based pricing. But it was a sham because the distance-based pricing came in off-peak hours. So only people that were driving on nights and weekends were getting the benefit of it. Commuters during rush hour, same deal. It was not a good deal, and Phylis Randall completely capitulated to him, and it's one of the main reasons that I decided to run, and one of the chief reasons, really. And it's one that, like I said before, the people of Loudon County are going to be my clients, and we're going to negotiate or we're going to litigate, and I'll take it to the Virginia Supreme Court if I have to.
So, John, what was Chairman Randall's reasoning? I mean, she had to make a public statement. What was her reasoning for siding with the tollers and getting outvoted 8-1? I mean, you got to think of when you make an 8-1 vote and it's a controversial subject, it's like, why vote no? Why vote no? Because it's not going to pass anyway. Why put yourself under that? So the only reason you would do that is if there was something going on that we're not understanding. Like, why would she do that? There was no incentive.
You know, John, I think it goes back to a politician thinking that they're going to get a headline, and she was going to campaign for re-election on getting distance-based pricing, but it completely blew up, and it's really become her Achilles heel in her entire political career, and it's really something that I think will be determinative in this race, and that's why we're talking about it, because it's something that has to change, and if we don't make change at the top at the Loudon County Board of Supervisors and elect me chairman, we're not going to be able to do anything about this because she supports the Greenway. I support the drivers of Loudon County.
Wow.
Well, I was going to say, can we rebrand the Greenway to Corruption Way? Because under her leadership, that's what we've had, basically, right?
Well, I wouldn't call them corrupt. I think
maybe not. What about Shamway?
Well, Shamway. I think you just call it Randall Way. I think
Randall Way.
Yeah, I mean, she is the only supervisor, Republican or Democrat, to support the Greenway. That's it.
Right.
She's the only one.
Yeah. So let's just call it Randall Way because it's her.
Well, Randall tolls. But
tolls.
John, so she supported it, but the deal is through 2056. So I mean, you're basically running on something that's already signed, sealed, and delivered. How are you going to change it as chairman?
No, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. That's the thing. The other thing, I know you're skeptical on Gary Higgins, but guess who carried the bill in the legislature that would have guaranteed this deal till 2056?
Bell.
John Bell.
Right.
Yeah. John Bell and Phylis Randall cut a deal with the Greenway that they thought that they could get the Board of Supervisors to endorse in the vote and then get through the General Assembly. And boy, when that 8-1 vote happened with Phylis Randall being the only supervisor supporting it, basically, the General Assembly members, and you know how politicians are, they get scared real easily. Everybody pulled their bills, and it's not going to happen.
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, I'm on Team Gary Higgins.
Well, look, I hope Higgins wins. I just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And I know Chris Lasavita, his consultant, says he's going to win, and they're going to do it on tolls. I just don't think you're going to beat John Bell, and internal polling right now has got Bell way ahead. But I'm focused on the Whitbeck election because, John, I'm going to be sitting there on election night, and here's what we're going to be saying. You know, Whitbeck carries Loudon County, conservative Republican, running on local issues. Higgins loses, whatever. But people are going to split their ticket because, you know, they might go one way for the state, but you know, you're running on a local issue that's affecting every resident there that ever gets on I-66.
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, voters care about kitchen table issues. That's expensive. I mean, you're looking at, what is it, John, spending $14 a day just to drive on that road?
Well, right, and imagine if you're going all the way to D.C., which a lot of our federal workers and professionals in Loudon County do. You're paying that, then you're paying 267 tolls, then you're paying I-66 tolls. You could be spending over $100 a day some days.
You know, I'm married. I have a son. As a family person, how do you survive on those tolls? You have bills to pay. You know, kids want to do sports. I mean, it's
John. What is the highest the tolls can get up to now? What's the highest?
Well, they're set. If you go all the way from the beginning through the toll plaza going on to 267, it's over $7, $7.25. And you know what's even more egregious, Sean? Let me just add to this, if you don't mind.
Yes.
in addition to voting for higher tolls, now just put that in a box for a second, and that's egregious enough. But I want to add two things to it. In 2016, Phylis Randall voted 3 times to raise our tax rate, our property tax rate. Right now it's $1.45. She voted to raise it to $1.16. Okay, and stated, and I'm not kidding, I wish the rate were higher. I wish the tax rate were higher. Then,
no way.
In addition, no, I'm dead serious. I wish the tax rate were higher. I've never heard a politician, Republican or Democrat, ever say they wished taxes were higher. It just never happens. And then she voted herself a 62% pay increase. 62%. And that was after rejecting a more reasonable pay increase that was proposed by the Republicans of 17%, which would have put them on pace with what county employees were getting. 62%. She wants you to pay higher tolls. She wants you to pay higher taxes, and she wants you to pay her more of a salary. And that's why we've got to make change at the top.
So what does the supervisor make now annually?
Well, the supervisor position would make $81,000 a year, over $81,000 a year, plus benefits. And so I've said that when I'm elected, I'm going to donate the difference between the old salary and new salary entirely to charity, because I just don't feel it's appropriate. When we're not raising teacher pay that level, we're not raising when our sheriff's deputies aren't getting 62% pay raise, when our first responders and our firefighters. This is something that it's egregious. It never should happen.
What is the chairman's salary? You said is the chairman's salary
$81,000
right now?
A little over $81,000.
And what is she proposing?
No, it was 60. It was like 50 something, and she got it up to 80. Right. So she voted herself a $30,000 pay raise.
What about the rest of the supervisors?
They all got a 62% pay raise as well. So the vice chair now makes in the 60,000 range. And the other supervisors, I think, make in the I think it's in the 50s.
And being a supervisor, being the chairman of the supervisor of Loudon County, John, that's not a full-time job. Like you go in the office.
Part-time, right?
It's a part-time.
Look, right. And we have a long tradition in Loudon County of public service where people do what they do and then they serve in government. For example, in the Dulles district, Matt Letourneau works for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, helping create jobs and supporting our job creators. And then he serves as supervisor, and he has 4 children, and he's really active in his children's sports. People make it work. She says, look, I needed to vote for a huge pay raise because I'm a full-time supervisor. Well, you know what? It's not the taxpayer's job to make sure you get to work full-time. No, it is. And it's just another example of why we absolutely need change at the top. And it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. Right. Because there are Republicans that voted. There are Republicans that voted for this pay raise too, and I'm an equal opportunity guy. If you do bad policy with a Republican or Democrat, I'm going to call you out on it. And this is one of those.
All right, so we're with John Whitbeck. John Whitbeck, former chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, when there actually was a Republican Party of Virginia. Now there's a postal permit and a beeper.
Now.
And
$1.25 in the coffers.
No, they've got. If Kirk Cox loses, they go out of business.
Right.
Basically, he's been funding them for. John, we're going to cut that out of your interview, right? Okay, so we're with John Whitbeck. He's running for chairman of the supervisor of Loudon County. We think he's going to win because he's running on local issues, and we're pretty excited about what he's doing. So, John, let me just ask you this: when you're out there knocking on doors, now you're a big time lawyer, John. You're big time, right? So, you handle big cases. Yeah, you're big time. You're a litigator, although Scott Surville said he's went up against you two times. He's beaten you twice. Just want to throw that out there. But you're a big time lawyer. When you go and knock on doors, right, you just get into somebody's parlor. Do we still have those, or is that an old term, right?
That's what my mom and dad would say, parlor.
That's what because I'm 61. You go into the parlor, right? When you go into their living room or their kitchen, what are they saying to you? Tell me what they're saying.
Well, it started out. See, we've knocked on over 80,000 doors. We have just my team is amazing. I wanted somebody. I got somebody right out of the RNC juggernaut from last year and 2 or 3 years ago. And I brought in the best talent I could at the local level, and because I believe in the grassroots campaign, I believe in door knocking, I believe in phone calls. We're right now thousands of postcards. I mean, all the little things that touch voters and remind them to vote. It started out that nobody really knew there was an election, which was incredible because, the last 2 years with the alleged blue wave that is supposedly coming, everybody knew there was an election. It transitioned to, okay, now I know there's an election and the issues that matter most to me are X, Y, and Z. And tolls is definitely the number one issue we hear. Taxes is a very big issue because people just feel like they're getting, everywhere they turn, there's a new tax on them, and particularly my opponent who wants to raise them even more. And then we're hearing a lot about the local land use and infrastructure. Little things like the stoplight at the end of their street or school safety is a huge issue. I have my daughter Madison just started high school. And this is a whole generation that goes to school feeling at times unsafe, because of the hysteria surrounding, the way the media portrays, everything, with being a young person and bullying and all this kind of stuff. And those issues are so important. And we need to have serious conversations about them. Because school safety is just critical, and these children need to feel safe when they go to school. And those are the things, the local issues.
John, we're out of time, and I want to thank you for being with us today. People want more info on your campaign. John Whitbeck, Loudon County Supervisor Chairman. Where do they go?
JohnWhitbeck.com.
How easy is that, right?
That's
He's
great.
got it all figured out.
I love
right?
it.
John Whitbeck. It's just so
JohnWhitbeck.com.
easy, right? JohnWhitbeck.com.
Rolls right off your tongue.
It does. JohnWhitbeck.com. Mm-hmm. Kara, it's not Rob. It's JohnWhitbeck.com.
That's right.
FYI.
Chairman
Whitbeck. Plus, I didn't know Madison was in high school. God, the kids grow up, right? My son, Joseph, just started high school this year.
Wow.
So, yeah, when they get to high school, so a bit of a different deal. But, John, the Fräulein and Joe, they're coming up. They're getting ready to go on Amtrak train right now, coming out of Norfolk, coming to D.C. We're going to the game tonight, John. All we got to do is win a game. Just got to win one game. We're right back in it, John. Of course, I'm
Go Nats. I know you're a Houston fan, but we're all on fire in Virginia for our Nationals.
Our interview's over. John, thanks.
Take care. Have a great day, guys.